Can't hear Sid.
Can't hear you, Sid.
Oh my goodness, I muted myself. That's at first. I'm normally still talking. My apologies, folks. Welcome. I'll try this again. Welcome to the Simple Plays in our third episode, or actually our first episode where we're going to have an inaugural guest tonight, a Clemson Hall of Famer and former Viking, and we'll get to that here when he pops on. But prior to that, let's go over to the ever so eloquent Kevin, a.k.a. the Rev, with our introductions of our cast of characters tonight.
Well, thank you, Sid. And welcome, everybody, to Simple Plays. Your pro host tonight is 10-year NFL veteran from the heart of America in the land of the best barbecue, Steve Martin, former Kansas City Chief, Jet, Patriot, Colt, Eagle, Viking. I'm sure I missed a few, but we'll come back to that. Our second pro host is Ulish Booker, former Pittsburgh Steeler, World Bowl champ with the Amsterdam Admirals and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Our stats guy tonight, who knows the difference between 2 + 3 is 6 and 2 + 3 are 6. He's the stat man, Brian Newdahl. Tonight we'll have special guest Will Stein in our Where's Will segment, finding out everything from here to there and everywhere. Where's Will, the super fan, coming at you live tonight with the Where's Will segment. All of your graphics, all of your video, all of this podcast is brought to you especially through Bison Graphics. And now, the man with the master plan, he decided to wear a beret tonight. No, he didn't. It's a Rider's cap. It's our guy, the Crunch, the captain. He's our Captain Stubing on this Love Boat episode, Sid Thompson. I'm your host, The Rev. I'll be here all night, joining each and every one of you in libations and salutations.
Again, Rev, kudos to you. Again, great job as usual. And I like to call this my Bruce Arians look tonight. I figured I'd put that on area. Former coach Bruce Arians. What do you think?
I do. I like a Rider's cap. You know, you should have worn the gloves, though.
Yeah, there you go. I'm not quite as old as Bruce, but I'm getting up there. So I guess, I kind of fit in that age bracket, the ARP guys.
You got a little silver lining, silver fox.
I do. But anyway, so let's go right into it. What we're going to do is we're going to do our NFL topics at hand. We're going to talk about a couple topics, and then we'll bring on our guest. But topics at hand will be what's going on with the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't know if our man book, our Steeler guy, the Steeler Nation, we're waiting on him. He may not be in on this topic, but we'll talk about what they're doing over there because they don't do a lot of movements over there. They hired a new GM. He's been there for a while. And then also what's going on. We talk about where's Will. Well, where is Kaepernick? Sounds like there's some possibilities with him going on, rumors, and we'll delve into that a little bit. So, guys, where do we start? What do you want to start with first? Who wants to take and jump in on this topic to get to go?
Maybe Ulish is still in conclave because that's about how long it takes, for the Pittsburgh Steelers to make any front office movement. This is kind of one of those where, like the Pope died, did we see smoke come out of Heinz Field? Was it white? Was it black? Do we know?
Yeah, Book said he's got other engagement, so he'll come on when he can.
Okay.
Well, that's good, though, because knowing Book, he would be going off on this and everything, everything under the sun, how good the Steelers are. So this way we'll keep his time kind of crunched down a little bit.
Right.
So, Brian, what do you got on that, by the way? Who is that new GM they have over there? I heard he's been with the club for 6 years, if I remember right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
He's actually been with the club since 2001.
Oh, my apologies.
Wow. But, like you said, Sid, and like everybody said, they rarely make a move in Pittsburgh. They are the cornerstone of stability. They like to keep everything, straight and stable. But yeah, he's been with the team since 2001. He now takes over as the GM, and it's too bad Book isn't here because he would have more insight into that. But I don't know, Steve. What do you think?
It's amazing when, like you said, when the Steelers make a move. I mean, they're like an old piece of furniture. They don't at grandfather clock. They just wind every year. They don't They don't do anything big. But that he's an internal transfer. That's like, okay, that's who they are. Because they basically, you got to learn the culture, you got to be a part of the culture, and if you're not there, they don't like to take chances on people outside the culture. And when they bring you in and walk you up the ladder. They don't just rush you to the top. So again, a commendable franchise when you look at it. They got way more consistency than any other club out there, and it's because of how they handle that management. So. It's really impressive to me. It's kind of impressive that that kid been there long enough that they're like, okay, we'll give you a shot.
Sure. Yep. You know what? You got to like that when you get with an organization that is going to work with you through each step of the program. And a lot of guys. Hey, I remember walking into Winter Park and Kevin Stefanski was Brad Childress's secretary. Stefanski's a head coach for the Cleveland Browns. So when you see organizationally that happen, that number one, there's stability, but number two, that person has gone through a lot of polishing to get to that position. They've gone through everything and said, this is our guy. So I got to think that, it's, same verse as the last verse in Pittsburgh. They're going to be around because of the consistency, the durability, and the way that the organization from top to bottom works guys into their program, as well as their program.
Wasn't he assistant VP or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, so it makes perfect sense. He just, he worked his way to the top. I mean, that's what you want.
Yep.
If you got a good company, you're going to work your way up.
If I may interject in that too, Steve, I look at some other leagues, one particular team that just got beaten, another sport. They have this wonder boy GM who they threw in and 30-something years old. He hasn't been with the squad. So Pittsburgh has got a culture, and that's what we talk about, teams winning, is culture. And having been in that for 20 years, I didn't know it was there that long. That says a lot about they bring in from within. They don't bring from the outside in. And that, he knows the culture. So good for him.
And let me just back up and, for our listeners, when we're talking culture, because you hear that term used a lot. Culture is really multifaceted, but if I could break it down in just a few, number one, this isn't going to be someone that causes a lot of distraction or disturbances internally. Number three, they've either modified their workload or the workload of those around them so that everybody is basically pulling their weight. And so when you have a culture that works like that, where everybody is dependent upon each other, but the responsibility is borne on the individual, you have winning. That's talented winning. And now you put together the pieces, a couple offensive tackles, a free safety, you put the pieces of the puzzle together that you need for that year, and it's almost like click paste. And there you go. You're out there. You're at least an 11-5 team going into playoffs.
For sure. So, well, let's top on one other quick topic, and then we're going to get to our guest here. But we'd be remiss if we didn't bring it up. The guy's been out of the league and Brian, how many years has he been out of the league? And now he's getting some play out there. The rumors and this and that, the rumor mill's going on that the Raiders are looking at, I believe, one Colin Kaepernick. So how long has he been out? And what
he's been out quite a while, but I mean, I've got his stats. His stats are, his total career stats are 12,271 passing yards, 72 touchdowns, 30 interceptions in 69 games. So, yeah, his touchdown to interception ratio is pretty good. But like you said, Sid, he's been out for so long. And I know I read today in an article that Mr. Davis had given the green light. If they want him, they can have him. So I heard a rumor, too, that he may have signed a 2-year deal, but I can't confirm that yet because I haven't seen it. But there's definitely rumors.
Those rumors. And those numbers, can you throw those out to some crazy numbers rumored for someone who hasn't played in X amount of years? What was that potential contract number?
Sure, 2 years, $32 million is the rumor.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's a position, Steve, you can talk about. Having that is the key. It's like any other sport. I talk about hockey, I talk about baseball.
Yeah.
But it's alleged. It's still a rumor. But being out for as long at that key position, that's got to be tough. I mean, granted, he's an athlete now. We'll truly find out how good he is if, in fact, he does come back. I mean, that's a long time.
Man,
we're talking about an organization in Las Vegas that has gone through some turmoil. If you remember last year with Rudes and the whole email scandal, we're seeing some of the those waves coming back, even with what's going on with Washington and Dan Snyder there with the owners. But I really, I would be remiss if I didn't say this. What Pittsburgh is to culture, the Raiders are to chances. It goes all the way back to Al Davis. Yep. If he's fast, if he can cut on a dime, the Raiders are going to look at you. And why? Because they're willing to take chances. All the way back to Alzado, Ben Davison. I think of Kenny King. I think of Jim Plunkett coming out of New England and winning for them in 1980. I pulled that all the way out.
That's a good one.
When you're talking about culture, it's funny that we would have both of what I consider the yin and the yang of culture, because Al Davis, has only one thing, and that used to be, and I believe they're still trying to reinvent it again, and that is just win, baby.
Well, we'll see what happens. Do you think the younger Davis did a seance to get his father, in and say, do we bring him in? Do we bring him in?
That's one of those people that's irreplaceable, because Al Davis I never played for him, but was amazing. I played on 2 separate teams when we went out to Oakland. And Al Davis would sit there in front of the locker room and say who you were, what college you went to. He'd really show off when he knew what high school you went to. And he'd just stand there at the locker room and call you out, guy after guy after guy. It's like, man, you know who I am? I'm like, literally, I just signed here like 2 weeks ago. How do you know it's me? But that's the kind of guy. But to get to the point about Cap, to sit out that long is amazing. I would – your shelf life is at best 3 years out. After 3 years, nobody's going to gamble on you because you haven't played. And, I don't care what workout you're doing. It doesn't matter. There's nothing that simulates football but football.
You can't, it's like playing a video game football or doing a scrimmage. It's not a real game. I mean,
hell, even if you went to Canada ball, if you played in the XFL, it's not the same.
Yep.
It sells NFL press in May, guys. I think
that's a good point.
We're on the edge of OTAs now. Rookies have already started coming in. So, hey,
you're right. It gets born between May and July. You're right.
I think our man Book is in too. I think they just got a little text their Book. So, Book, what say you? We kind of skimmed over you now. It's kind of let's back up a little bit and see your topics. We talked about the GM in Pittsburgh, and then we talked about Cap. So, give us your synopsis here, please.
Well, I kind of knew Omar Khan was coming. He's a long-time assistant in that system, and I saw that coming. I definitely saw that coming. And the Cap thing, I just think that's another thing to distract us among the many things that are going on from a political standpoint. You bring Cap in, it gets everybody looking to the left when everything is really going on to the right. So, I'm not surprised. It was only a matter of time, and now is the perfect time. You got all of these shootings and all of the horrible things that are going on, but in the background, you got the upheaval of monkeypox and $50 million to Ukraine. Like and there's a lot of middle of the night stuff. You got the Hillary Clinton stuff, the John Durham investigation, and all of a sudden these things are happening, and so I just think that Cap is another piece to that to get the 150 million plus fans looking to the left when actually there's other really significant issues that the people should be paying attention to. So that's what I think Cap represents, because if he really wanted to play, a real football player, he makes his moves strategically.
Well, you think Well, do you think if he really wanted to play, go play in the CFL, if nothing else, just show him I can play. I mean, if he thinks he can play, Why not go there for at least a year? Just say, hey, I can play. You went there, and unfortunately, it was at your tail end of your career. But what are your thoughts on that? Why not?
It's too much strategy and shrewdness involved. There's too many string pullers involved. All right. I mean, let's call it what it is. You know what I mean? There's too many higher entities moving this thing around.
I agree, and I would say that when you're looking at it, he's been out so long that but we did have Tebow come back, so everybody said when Tebow came back, why wouldn't you bring Cap back before you bring Tebow? So it's certainly I definitely go with Rev on it's a media move in the summer when football's boring. And there's really no excitement because nobody really wants to watch you in OTAs because you're just running and catching balls and everybody looks good because there's no contact. So, I'll lean on that one too. The NFL's notorious for making media moves before they actually do stuff.
Well, I think it's one of those, let's just wait and see. The rumor mills are out there. We'll wait and see. I mean, there's been talk out for how long. So, and we're waiting on our guest, Ed, there. I think he's struggling a little bit with some connectivity issues, so we'll just continue with this. It says here, is Ed back on there, our producer, Zach? Let me know. Got him? Okay. Well, I think on that note, let's just take a quick break then, and then we'll go to Ed, our guest, Ed McDaniel, and we'll be back after this short break and come back and chit-chat with a former Clemson Hall of Famer and the Viking. So we'll go over to Rev and do that introduction. Rev, you want to just go? Or you want to do let's do that quick commercial there for the Spartan Global Network for book there. I apologize, folks, that stepped on your toes there.
Global Network, a platform that will provide various types of useful lifestyle products and services that will help people in need. Spartan Global Network, in conjunction with Affinity Consumer Alliance, presents an online subscription-based platform that's bundle inclusive, based on level selection. Spartan Global Network provides access to unique insurance coverages for you and your family. Mobile phone breaks down? Our mobile rescue plan covers more than 15 common repairs and even water damage maintenance. Car broke down while on the road? We offer 24-hour roadside assistance to make sure that you are safe and covered in the event of an emergency while on the road. Going for travel? We are able to offer our members discounts on flights, hotels, rental cars, vacation packages, cruises, and more. So, what are you waiting for? Visit our website for more info at SpartanGlobalNetwork.com.
And that's one of our sponsors there, Spartan Global Network. Rev, why don't you bring in our guest here? Tell about the background here on our guest, Eddie McDaniel.
Absolutely. Well, it's our pleasure to have a longtime friend and guest and Viking alumni, number 58 in your Vikings programs, number 98 in your Clemson Hearts there at Death Valley, the number 3 all-time leader in tackles in Clemson football history. That is no small feat, folks, considering all the linebackers and players that have come out of Clemson. He's also one of your top 50 all-time Vikings. Everybody knows him as Ed McDaniel, number 58, but we call him Eddie Mack. How you doing, Eddie Mack? Looks like we got some technical difficulties. You look pretty good, that Titleist hat.
Yeah, Eddie Mack's got that connectivity issue going on again, so unfortunately.
He really has a connectivity issue going on.
Yeah, he's on that. Great introduction, though, but speaking of Eddie Mack, when he gets back on, he said I think he's number 35 out of the top 50 all time at Clemson, the Hall of Fame, amongst some tremendous players there, and not to mention he played with some pretty great players. Hopefully, we'll get him back here, but the likes of Stacy Long and Chris Gardocki, and I think Book knows Chris Gardocki. He was a punter there, won a Super Bowl over there at Steelers, and a few others that way we can bring up if we can get him back on here. So I know our crack guy back end there is working on it there, Zach Reihard there. But let's go to Book here and talk to Book a little bit about that. Get back to Book again until we get him on. Book, you there?
You brought up Chris Gardocki. That was hilarious.
Yeah.
Gardocki was like 50 years old when I was there.
Well, if Eddie gets on here, I was going to ask him. I said, "Hey, man, you were number 35 all time. Gardocki, I think, was number 32. How did Punter get number 32, get ahead of you?" So hopefully he gets on so you can razz him a little bit and joke about that. But
I played with Gardocki in Indy, by the way.
You did?
Yeah, he wasn't old, but he was getting there.
Yeah, he was old when I was there because heck, I was in my mid-20s, and Doc and my cousin are like the same age, and my cousin is like 54, so Doc is like, he got me by at least 7-8 years.
The longevity of punting in the NFL,
man. And listen, punters and kickers, I mean, they catch it the most because Pittsburgh, November, October, and they're sitting in the weight room because the way Pittsburgh is set up, when the practice fields face the weight room faces the practice fields, and it's all glass, and up against that glass is all of the bikes. So all you see during the team periods is the punters and the kickers on the bikes and just grab, just
ain't doing nothing.
They're playing the
Oh, they are. They're talking about that golf game, but when they're going to cut out and go play.
Yes. Yeah, well, we're 9-on-7 fighting for our lives.
Exactly.
Longevity. Hey, while we're talking about punters, though, Brian, you got Ed McDaniel's stats when he was at the Vikings, and if you happen to have his collegiate stats too, I know he's still trying to get on, so hope we can get him back on. But just want you to talk about that real quick. What he did as a Viking, because is he part of the ring? What do they call it? The Mall of America ring? Oh, that whatever they have there, guys. Yeah. Okay.
The Minnesota Vikings All Mall of America field team. He was also a Minnesota Viking from 92 to 2001. He was drafted in 92 in the 5th round, pick 125. He was a 98 Pro Bowler in that amazing 98 year for the Vikings. He was the NFL forced fumbles co-leader in 1995. Also, as we've mentioned before, one of the 50 most memorable Vikings of all time, and also one of the most memorable Clemson Tigers of all time, which is a pretty big list. And then his career sacks, he had 19.5 sacks. He had 576 tackles, 4 interceptions, and 13 forced fumbles in his career.
Not bad at all. And you said, do you happen to have any Clemson stuff there too? Or just
the only stuff I found was a few of the interceptions. That was it.
Okay. Well,
you played for Danny Ford?
Danny Ford? Hey, there he is. I don't know. Ed, you got it? Ed, can you hear us, Ed? Hey, there's Ed.
There he is. What's going on, Ed?
You got us, my man? Can you hear us?
Can you hear us, Eddie?
Must be on an iPhone as a joke with Steve there.
Well, we can see him.
Can you hear me?
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah.
There he is. All right. Well, I'm going to pass the torch over to Rev. You can take this torch and I'll give you the baton right now.
Well, I'm hear me? That you were number 58 in the Vikings' hearts, but number 98 in the Clemson.
I see some wild West stuff up here.
That's right.
What's going on?
Well, we're talking about paying amateur athletes, high school athletes, college athletes. As a former pro athlete,
baby, they just gave me a number. They knew I wasn't going to be on the team long. So possible they could get rid of. I was just lucky to be on the team for 5 years. Red shirt of the year.
Yeah.
Gotta love the interweb sometimes, huh, folks?
Absolutely.
This connection is terrible.
This allows me to get my words in edgewise with.
I heard you say a former pro athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's freezing like a mother.
AOL
stuff is messing up, so hey, we may have difficulty here.
We'll just go turn your video off and let's just try to do the
let's try
audio.
without the video there, Ed. Maybe we can just talk to you there. I think maybe we're back in the 80s on the ISDN line.
Gave
back
me a
there.
little
He's got AOL.com.
You kidding me? Hey, pay your cable bill. Come on.
He's on that 5,400 bond.
Germans get tired in the back.
We got
all that stuff, but
we got to get.
Holy shit.
before they start getting
Yeah, you just keep cutting out, Ed.
improving it.
We gotta get Ed connected with a collective down there in Clemson so we can get some better connection.
That's right. We might need the NIL or GoFundMe. We'll get it back on.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can get a connection. I really think that what we're going to be talking about this evening with what the NIL is doing, we would be completely outside, shot out, if we didn't talk about the shot across the bow this past week with Jimbo.
Book's going. Yeah.
Jimbo
came through.
and Prime came in on it. Prime's in on it too now. So what's going on? Are they building a moat in Tuscaloosa so that nobody can get into Tuscaloosa? Because obviously there's a whole bunch of people throwing catapults into their. Well,
I mean, hey, listen, at the end of the day, Saban ain't no fool. And he's very keen. He's very shrewd and keen on his wordplay. So he didn't say what he said on accident. Okay.
Right.
I don't know if it's a publicist. I don't know what it really is, but he didn't say what he said for no reason. Remember, this is how he talks. He talks with his hands. So everything that he said it for a purpose. And so at the end of the day, to me, it all goes back to, hey, listen, man. NIL is the flavor of the day. That's what it's going to be until the schools start paying these players. And so, hey, listen, Jumbo beat everybody to the punch publicly. Okay, So let's just roll with it. He paid $30 million. Cool. You know what I'm saying? If that's what it is what it is. And it's all through NIL and it's done properly. I have no beefs with that. Everybody that's crying about it, like your Dabo Sweeney's and your Nick Saban, even Coach Saban, I think, has moved from his original position as far as, oh no, they shouldn't do it. It's bad for college football. He's moved from that position now to say, hey, listen, Texas A&M paying $30 million. Even Jackson State paid $1 million for that kid. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, he definitely ain't lying. So,
no.
But I think he's mainly, setting that out there, basically fussing at the legislator in Alabama. Like, how you going to hog tie him? He done won you 5 national titles, 6, and he's lined up to do another 2, 3, 4, however, whenever he wants to retire. So he's basically, in my opinion, he's yelling at Alabama saying, yo, I've been bringing this to y'all. We've been winning these championships. It ain't been no accident. It's just been me mastering this system. Now I got to adjust. How the hell are you going to hog tie me when I've been doing it, mastered the old system? Now I got to do this NIL stuff. Don't restrict me. That makes sense to me. I mean, he's got the aces, all the aces in his hand, even though he didn't win the free agency, basically, that the NIL is right now. And he's telling
By the way,
to stop.
Fun fact: Alabama does have a NIL collective already. That
Alabama, they've been had a NIL coach or somebody that was kind of working. They had that for the longest.
Yep.
They ain't no secret.
Yeah, they got an endowment just like Texas.
right.
Yes, they do. Ed, how you doing on your connection there? You back at it? Can you hear us? I see his picture there, so.
He's froze again, though.
He's froze again? Okay. Hey, I got a comment here I want to mention real quick, guys. One comment, I'm going to read this from Lane Kiffin, and this is from a tweet he sent recently, about 7 hours ago. It says, or I actually retweeted it from 9 hours earlier. I don't care who the coach is or how hard you recruit. That is not going to win over money. Thoughts?
Amen.
I mean, come on.
I disagree. I disagree from the standpoint that it's all about how you take it in. At the end of the day, the ultimate goal is to get to the big show. All right?
Oh, yeah.
If you're a baller, you want to get to the big show. But guess what? You can't get to the big show if you're not playing, dog.
That's
so
true.
let's not kid anybody.
Hold on. Look, it depends upon how hungry you've been. If you ain't been hungry, if you've had a meal or two, you may not have been eating steak. But if you had good meals here and there, you all right. But if you hungry, I don't give what I say a couple shows ago. Montana, North Dakota, South Dakota, these schools about to come out of nowhere. Because if they got the money, folks is going. That's just what it is.
Let me pick up for my North State Bison. They ain't coming out of nowhere. That's a 6-time national champion.
Yeah, they're
didn't mean to defend.
You mean to step on your toes, Rev? But at any rate,
out here.
At any rate, at the end of the day, I think it's all in how it's all perceived and how it's handled. Listen, like I said, if you're not playing, you're not. Nobody's gonna pay anybody to be sitting on the bench, and ultimately, that type of nuances or those types of nuances are going to be put in people's contracts in these NIL deals. If you're not playing a certain percentage of the game, or if your name is not out there, then we're gonna start taking the money back.
We talk about more money, more problems. And Ulish, that's another distraction.
That's good.
Hey, listen. If you got to get an A to get a stipend, hell, well, that's at least 3/4 of the team on the football team that's going to be short.
Hey, speaking of that, I see Missouri, the Mizzou Tigers. They're partaking in that. I sent that out. And by the way, is Ed? Are you there? We don't see your picture now. Did that help to go? So you can just talk, say something to us.
This is much better.
All right. Okay. So we got Ed. Good. So, Rev, let's go back to Ed here. First of all, we've been talking about this NIL stuff. Maybe you can chime in, Rev. Let's talk about back when he played. Were there players? Now, was there some stuff being done back then, and now it's just made more legal? I mean, was there stuff going on back when you played?
We didn't get paid at all. Man, we didn't get paid at all. If I did, I'd have had a car. I didn't have no car or anything like that. I had a television. We had to bring in an old antenna. I'm talking about a CD antenna to hook our phone, not the phone, the TV up. They didn't give us anything at Clemson. We wasn't like Alabama or Mizzou.
Mizzou? Wait a minute.
Oh, boy. Ed, thanks for coming on. Hey.
We didn't have that luxury.
I got $320 a month, and $200 was on rent. I didn't have no money.
And we got a guy in the background here showing picture you wearing that nice hat there in the interview back in the day, and you never got paid a thing. Okay, all right.
Yeah. I'm telling you, man, hey, I told you, like I told you earlier, my locker was next to Randall McDaniel, and Randall would get like 2 checks every 2 weeks. My check was like $1,200, and they talking about striking. Man, I can't strike $1,200. Randall had a check for one check was $1 million and another check for $120. Strike? Who gonna strike? I just had bought a Jeep for $24,000. Man, I couldn't strike. I had to work.
Oh, that's all right.
Getting back to the early years, Eddie. When you came into the league, guys, were making great money, but they weren't making that crazy television money. Now you see in players.
When I got in the league, the league has started changing because we didn't make money my first year, but my second and third year, the Reggie White situation had appeared, and then guys have started getting paid money then. So we came in at a good time, but obviously each and every year get better and better. But we came in at a good time. Just imagine the guys before we came in. You know, I was a fifth rounder making 120. So that wasn't, it wasn't great money, but it wasn't bad money than the guys that made before, that were drafted before me, years before me. So it only took me 3 years to start making a little bit better money than that. So, everybody criticized, that guy is not this, he's not that, because of, try to compare it to the money that he was making. But, it is what it is. Guys gonna get paid. The owner's not gonna give you all his money. They're gonna give you what the quarterback club, what they had back in the day, still at the quarterback club today. Explain to me, what is a franchise player?
Well, that was what
a franchise player is.
Well, that's what they were doing.
Franchise player to a defensive guy, maybe a receiver, but don't give it to the quarterback. If you're the franchise player, pay this cat accordingly what he should be paid. How are you making $200-something million? Come on, man, get real.
Well, that's the thing is that at this point,
just like you don't deserve that money.
Well, just like you spoke of when you were on the precipice of whether you're going to strike or not, the TV money came in that transition.
Yes.
And now the transition is the Vegas money, so that's why they're getting $200 million.
Back then they didn't care. Back then they cared if you came to the stadium, because if they didn't fill the stadiums up, they will black it out. Now they don't care if you come to the stadium or not, because they got the television revenue. And that the television revenue came in like my third or fourth year. And so that's when everybody started getting paid that money. So like I'm saying, just imagine if I'd have been there in 1985, 87. Man, they called hell then.
I remember playing with in Philly, and Harold Carmichael said most of the cats that when he played, they had jobs. They worked on the shipyard and came to practice after work.
And back then they had, I don't know how it's going on now, but back then they did a good job each and every year when the contracts came up, and they gave like 5% back to the veteran players and stuff like that with the television revenue when the union had to redo the stuff. And that helped the old guys out a lot, so I hope they still doing stuff like that, because there's a lot of money out there. And if we go to the stadiums or not, that's the owner's money. 1 year, I believe, 2 years ago, the league had made $4 billion in their coffers just off of television revenue left over.
Yeah, but you're missing the big thing that they got right now is that Vegas revenue.
Yeah,
Vegas revenue is the booking houses. That's why the Raiders are there. Raiders are there for the sole purpose of the NFL having a booking house.
The players can't gamble, but the NFL can gamble. What's
that?
So the players can't gamble, but the NFL can gamble.
Oh yeah. Come on now. That's who they are. Come on now. So but they control the booking is what they, because when I was there in 2000 in I think it was Houston, we were leaving the New York, and the stats was what they were talking about, and then they basically, if ESPN and ABC, whoever was covering the game, they had real-time numbers, but those numbers weren't official NFL statistics, and they were setting it all up back in 2003 to do Vegas. So they patented all of the numbers that come out of the NFL, and then they resell that to Vegas as official statistics. Everybody got to pay them for it. So even though Fox is sitting there covering the game, Fox got to pay the NFL for those statistics. And so they double, triple pimping.
That's why they got the gambling and everything now. You're talking about what is fantasy football and all that stuff. Come on, man.
All of that's off of the NFL's official statistics. And the kicker is none of that money is in the collective bargaining agreement. None of it.
Well, you guys are talking pros. I mean, let's talk about the college side of the business right now. When I talked about the Big Ten, they were looking for $1 billion contract end of the month.
Hey, what they do to them college kids is unbelievable. You talking about, you get hurt in college, you don't have any insurance, you don't have anything to fall back on, you don't have any lawyers, you're pretty much done. That's why I say the NIL, I'm happy for the kids making their money, but I hope, wait after a year and then, get paid some money. Show me that you're worth this money first. But, we all know certain people, elite guys don't get paid regardless. So it doesn't really matter. And right now we see those elite guys getting paid a lot of money.
Yeah. And what does that do to a locker room, Eddie? We're talking, you're in college, you can't afford a car, and you got somebody coming in with he's no longer driving a hoopty. He's now got a Chrysler 300.
Realistically, with me personally, you really can't worry about that. I'm the type of guy you got to worry about yourself.
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, it was guys getting paid that you didn't get paid. So do you worry about that? No, you don't worry about that. You just handle your stuff because your dream is if I keep playing hard, I happen to get a degree and then happen to go to the pros. So you try to handle what you can handle, but once they say hut, you got to know what you're doing. That's one thing what make this sport one of the best things. Sports one of the best things in the world because you have X amount of players out there from different demographic, and they plan to achieve one goal. And so once you achieve one goal, you don't care if they create or anything. You out there to do that job. And so you don't worry about that too much until you get back, after the game. Then, hey, you got all that money. You better well pay for them beers now. Go get some Jack Daniels or something. What's wrong with you?
Hey, Rev, let's talk a little bit about some playing days back at the college ball for him back in Clemson there. Now, Ed, I have never been down there. I'd love to watch a game. Can you tell me a little bit about that, the rock that they have there? What's the story behind that and the tradition you guys had down there?
Man, they got that rock from the backyard of my granddad's house.
Huh?
What?
Are you serious?
That rock can't come from no Death Valley. My granddaddy brought that rock there.
No way.
How that rock got there.
Oh, we better tweet that out to start a controversy. You heard it here first.
Man, several times, that hill is pretty steep. Several times, like me and Chester McLaughlin, we used to tell her, hey, man, we got to get our ankles taped and all that stuff. We'd just come out of the locker room because the hill is steep and we done seen a lot of guys fall from it. But the coach that started all that, I think it was the coach from, because we got the same name as Auburn. And I think their stadium is Death Valley, too. So that goes back way before me.
Okay. You mentioned
it's one of the things that brings one thing about college football. It brings unity. It brings everybody together, and it's a bond and it's tradition. And you go back for the rock. You go back to all the fans and everything. Sometime in the pros, you just there. It's a different. It's a little different from college and the pros.
When the book keeps talking about, this party.
I lived up in the Clemson, Kansas City. I would love to go to Kansas City and tailgate. I think that's probably one of the best places to go to tailgate. The Jets,
Kansas City.
Kansas City.
He's right.
Man.
No.
Don't get him any of that cheap Arthur Bryant's when you're down there. Make sure you get him some Gates barbecue.
That's why we on video calls, because I'd fuck you up right now.
I like to go to Philadelphia too. You don't go there by like 2 hours before the game and do some real tailgate.
Yeah. You get in a fist fight in Philly, have a steak and cheese. You got pretty much your whole day filled up by that time.
You got to make sure that the insurance bill paid now.
Hey, Ed, if I may ask, you mentioned a name. You mentioned Chester McLaughlin. I was going to say back around that era when you were there, I'm going to throw some names out to you and see. Yeah. I want to get your thoughts on these players because around that late 80s, early 90s, you've got Stacy Long. I think was it Terrence Flagler? You mentioned McLaughlin, rest his soul, by the way. Was it Wolford played there too about that same time, and then Kirkland?
Hey, I was about to say that the best. My first year, we were playing in a bowl game, playing against Penn State. I'm on the sideline because I'm not playing. Donnell called an interception. The bottom of his cleat was the top of my head. And I said, and he caught the ball and tapped him foul. I'm like, oh my God. No wonder he don't stay in the dorm. He's the man. He was the man. Darnell was the man. And then we had Michael Dean Perry.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah. Can't forget that. Yeah.
And Terry Allen. I played with Terry for 3 years in college, and up here I played with him for 3 years. So that helped me out because when I came up here, he was like my big brother. So that helped me out a lot. And I remember when he got, I think we traded him, he went to Washington, and we played him. That was the only time I was able to tackle him. I said, baby, I'm following you this whole game. He said, man, leave me alone. I said, no, I'm not leaving you alone. I said, I couldn't tackle you in college, couldn't tackle you when you was in Minnesota. Now I get to tackle you. and he lived 45, Athens, Georgia, like 45 minutes to an hour from Clemson.
Hey, there's one other guy I got to bring up too. But Book and I were joking about this because you're number 35 all time in the top 50 as a Tiger. There's a punter that's number 32 ahead of you, Chris Gardocki. Tell me a little bit about him. You played with him too, didn't you?
Hey, we played one game. Chris Gardocki kicked 5 field goals. We knew once we got past, once the offense was like, once we got past the 50, our offense got past the 50, we're like, oh man, we got that. Chris gonna kick that in. We tried Chris Gardocki at a 62-yard field goal. It was wide and he missed it wide by like a foot. That's how much confidence we had in him. Chris was the man from North Carolina. Oh yeah.
Book, what say you about that?
I believe one year, might have been 98. We had 6 guys that was in the Pro Bowl that all played together at Clemson.
Dang.
Wow.
Yep.
Let's see.
Now, Ed, this is Jules Booker. You played under Danny Ford, correct?
Was that?
You played under Danny Ford?
Yep, Danny Ford. I played under Danny for 3 years and Ken Hatfield for 2.
Okay,
he didn't have to do too much coaching because our team was already set. Before he got there, we were like ranked number 1 and ranked number 2 defense. We had won 2 ACC titles. Oh yeah.
Isn't that what ACC stood for back in the day? Didn't they always say another Clemson championship?
Maybe it's the same way now. What's wrong with you?
Hey, let's talk.
Different now.
Well, let's talk about that because they're SEC now, right? So, guys, I was talking before you got on, Ed, about SECs wanting to take and separate and create their own championship. What do you think about that? You know, so they're separate. I mean, that's the elite league. I mean, look at all the teams coming out of there. They're good.
Well,
what do you thought?
That's one of the better leagues out, but they got a super conference now, but at the same time, they got to play everybody else. Everybody got to play everybody. Everybody want to be like, all this stuff that's going on. Everybody got to play Nick Saban. Everybody. Georgia always being good. Clemson love to play Georgia because Georgia's our way, and that's a big rivalry. Mm-hmm. And everything goes through Nick. It is what it is. It's going through Nick. Ohio State going to be competitive each and every year. It's going through Nick, Ohio State, and Georgia.
Good point.
So what do you? Oklahoma ain't what they used to be. Miami is not what they used to be. Florida State is not what they used to be. They want Oregon in there so darn bad. I swear to God, they want to give it to Oregon, but Oregon is not in it.
Nope, they ain't ready for it. They don't downhill. They ain't ready for that. They don't want none of that. They don't want that smoke.
USC is rebuilding. USC haven't done anything in a while.
They got to go through a resurrection. They got to be reincarnated.
We do have a Sparty on here, though, guys. What's the Sparty have to say about that?
Hey, listen, man.
Michigan State. Michigan State. They competitive with Big Ten and stuff like that, but.
Look at
Walk slow, Ed. Walk slow, Ed. Walk slow. Walk slow. Hey, Ed, my cousin played in the Michael Dean Perry days, and so he went to Clemson. So we always go back and forth. Huh?
What's his name?
Michelangelo Fox.
Man, I know Big Fox. Dude, you just don't know. Big Fox, his big butt, had a Toyota Nissan. Old Fox Toyota Nissan. My rookie year.
Toyota Nissan.
I can't tell all of this, but I'm going to tell it. My rookie year, 1:30 in the morning, they called my roommate to come down there because he was an offensive lineman. I said, man, no, he can't come down there. I'll come down there to see what y'all doing. Man, I'll tell you one thing. We had a good time that night. I know Angelo Fox. Went right up the road. Oh, yeah.
Wait, if he had a Toyota Nissan, it had to be a good time.
But Steve, he my size in a Corolla.
I was just going to say, how do you fit?
587 Corolla.
Hold up. No. Not the Corolla nowadays. I'm talking about a Fox.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Oh, man.
I don't know. You may not have me beat because I had a Ford Escort.
We might have to bring out one of those after hours talks with Ed there. Bring out some of the stories back in the day.
I'm telling you.
That's why Ed talking about they didn't get paid. I'm like, wink.
Oh, yeah. But, hey, those was, man, the time before I got there, those guys was awesome. That's what I got at Clemson. And like Michael Dean told me, he said, man, we should win the ACC every year. And if you look at it, we should because, you got Virginia Tech once in a while, when Vic was there and everything. But other than that, the school that played football consistently each and every year is pretty much us. We got Florida State and Miami, but they've been down for about like 15 years.
Yeah, they ain't who they used to be. I played with Chester here at Kansas City, so I promise you he's the most athletic big dude I've ever seen.
I think he was Mr. Everything in North Carolina coming out of high school.
I mean,
he was Mr. Everything here.
He would tell me, he would look back at me, this game is my game. You don't have to play. I said, okay, big fella, go ahead. Dude, he would have the best game of his life. Because he played against a bunch of guys that he grew up with.
Yeah.
So Ed, if I may interject there, Steve, what are you doing nowadays? You got at one point you had some training. Fill me in. You still doing that down in Carolina?
I still have one of my friends out doing a little coaching and everything with the youth football at camps and stuff like that, and helping them out. And then I got a couple guys. We're doing a little construction on the side. Just trying to stay busy.
Okay.
Rev tried to get me to do some stuff. He had me out there, playing golf in Southern Bay, South Dakota, and you got to sign a waiver to play golf. Man, who in the sign a waiver to play golf?
Yeah. What's up with that, Rev?
They got rattlesnakes on the third court.
Oh, okay.
South Carolina. They got rattlesnakes going across the court.
Chase Leo Lewis all the way off the green. But the best part of that trip, okay, was the fact that they had a black English speaking. He was English, not American speaking. They had the other one was a white pilot. The black guy drove or flew out, and because they switched up on the way back, Ed made them re-switch so that the black guy flew him out because he got him there safely the first time. That was how it went down.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy stuff.
Greenway golf tournament. I'm like, man, what we doing? And then they're going to talk about, you need to come back out here. I said, maybe you'll never see me again.
Maybe someday we can have a simple. Maybe someday Ed, we can have a simple plays golf tourney, alumni or whatever FL thing will get going. Maybe the Rev can get that going, and we'll get Ed McDaniel there.
We'll get that going. What I'm going to tell you, Eddie, is you tell TK, you tell Ventura, you tell Buddy Becker, you guys come out for Buffalo Chip. It's the first full week of August. It starts on a Monday, August 6th. You guys come out here. You guys will sign autographs, have a great time, TK style. You know what I mean?
Okay. Is the governor going to be there?
Listen, if Ventura shows up, I'm sure Christy Dove will be not far behind. How about that?
Well, that sounds
we have this conversation offsite, guys. It incorrigible. Hey, brother, appreciate you for coming on, my man.
Hey, man, thank y'all very much for this opportunity.
Well, hopefully we can get you back.
We're going to have you back.
Hey, man, do as much as y'all can for this youth high school football and everything. High school football in the younger program, because the younger programs need a lot of help.
Yeah.
That's where it starts.
Yep. Football one-on-one, and that's the problem what we have today.
Well, maybe you can be one of our mentors working with some of those programs that helping out the youth if we get involved with that, which we plan on with this NIL talk, and that's what we're doing with this too, is, trying to do mentorship and getting the education out there. It's not just about the sport.
Okay, man. That's great. Just let me know.
We will. Well, Ed, we'll let you go. Thanks for battling through the old technical difficulties. We really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. And
pleasure, Ed. Can't wait to talk to you again.
Okay, man. Y'all have a great time. Thank you very much. Enjoy it.
Absolutely. That was Ed McDaniel, former Clemson Tiger Hall of Famer, number 35 of the top 50 all time, and former Viking. And glad we were able to get him on, guys. So we're going to have he's a character.
Yeah. Oh, hey, listen, there's nobody better. The stories keep coming, and they get funnier. The more you talk about stuff, and all I have to do is really just trip a story, give a name, and we're off and running for at least 15, 20 minutes, laughing.
Well, an amazing day. Small world, too. Mentioning Book's cousin, lo and behold.
Yeah. I was glad he took it easy on Michigan State. I noticed Book had to take a time out. Oh, he's going to get some Kleenexes or something. But I'm glad that I'm glad that Ed took it easy on everybody tonight, because usually, it's like a buzzsaw. He just comes in like a bull in a china shop, breaks everything, and then says, "Okay, I'm done. I'm out of here."
Yeah. Book was acting like he gonna walk over there and put some hands on him.
Like, hey, man.
I started about my mama like that.
we started seeing Book. He started cobering up. And he started talking about Michigan State. So,
just in case anybody wanted to know.
Oh, that's good stuff. Well, hey, guys, that's the first of hopefully many more guests we can have. Like I said, I was kind of our intro or lid lifter when it came to the guests, and we had a little technical difficulties, but hey, that's part of getting the program going. And it was a blast. He's a character. Talked a little bit about. Hey, he didn't say he was paid back in the day, but come on, man, he had to get something under the table. But yeah, mum's the word on that one.
You heard it there first. He didn't even know which one it was. That's it. I love it. All right. I love it.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, on that note, we got to take a quick break here, because guess what? We got to find out where was Will and where is Will coming up here. Our super fan will be at the top of the hour here in coming up shortly. So we'll take a quick break, do a commercial.
Global Network, a platform that will provide various types of useful lifestyle products and services that will help people in need. Spartan Global Network, in conjunction with Affinity Consumer Alliance, presents an online subscription-based platform that's bundle inclusive, based on level selection. Spartan Global Network provides access to unique insurance coverages for you and your family. Mobile phone breaks down? Our mobile rescue plan covers more than 15 common repairs and even water damage maintenance. Car broke down while on the road? We offer 24-hour roadside assistance to make sure that you are safe and covered in the event of an emergency while on the road. Going for travel? We are able to offer our members discounts on flights, hotels, rental cars, vacation packages, cruises, and more. So, what are you waiting for? Visit our website for more info at SpartanGlobalNetwork.com.
And there he is. Look at that. Wearing the bucket hat. Are you in the sand? Are you on the beach? Are you in that white sand?
You're muted.
You're muted there, Will.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Absolutely.
I wish I was on the beach. It would be a lot warmer if I was on the beach. But I felt like I was on the beach all day yesterday, hitting golf balls into the bunker.
I was inferring that. That's why I said that about the beach.
So instead of having a drink in hand, I had a 56-degree sand wedge and a 60-degree lob wedge when I was on the beach yesterday. But anywho, I recently came back from Oklahoma from the PGA Championship. As you can see here, PGA. I wore this exclusively for Rev.
Boomer Sooner.
Diehard Oklahoma fan. So I I had to appease the Rev because he brought us together. So I at least thought I'd pay my respects to Mr. Ryherd over here with this PGA Championship shirt. And hey, it looked pretty sweet. So I tell you what, it was fun. But 11 hours in the car was not fun.
Oh, yeah. I don't think my hips and knees could handle that.
You are a soldier. You are a soldier,
No
Will
doubt.
Scott.
Hey, I try to be.
It's what makes you a super fan. So, anything that you pulled away from the tournament? I'm sorry, Sid, if I'm jumping over.
No, I was just going to ask him the same thing. Yeah, what was the key? What was the what? Talk about the tournament.
Yeah.
So just like the atmosphere of the PGA Championship was an incredible experience to see, especially towards the back nine on a Sunday at a major. It can't be beat. I've been to many football games. I've been to many Super Bowl stuff, as Kevin can attest to. We partied it up in Atlanta with Mr. Chidi Ahanadu. But as far as that final at a major, it's like it was just unbelievable to see. And I would almost go to something like this over a football game in the future. And that's quite a bit.
Yeah, it is. It is. You know, how many fans?
I love football games too. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
Because the tailgating at a football game, seeing all my friends at football games from super fans from other teams, it's incredible to see. But man, I tell you what, and you should have seen the playoff that they had on Sunday. People are running around like madmen. Like, oh my goodness, some of these people are running like their favorite baseball team or football team just won a Super Bowl or a World Series or something. Or people are partying on the streets of Mardi Gras in New Orleans.
Wow. Yeah.
So what would you say it was like compared to the Masters?
Yes, good question.
So with the Masters, the Masters is a practice round. So I couldn't give you like a full Sunday at the Masters versus Sunday at the PGA. I would feel the Sunday at the Masters is like more inclusive per se, because Augusta's kind of like a secret society per se, if you want to call it that. But the PGA, the biggest difference with the PGA is that you can take your cell phones out, take pictures, take video, and all that good stuff. At the Masters, on a competitive day like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you can't have any of that stuff out. You do, you're banned for life at Augusta National.
Not good for a super fan.
No.
Yeah. So I saw some pictures on Facebook. So what was the highlight for you as far as how close you got to certain one or this or that? What player? Anything you can highlight? You can talk about?
I would say the biggest highlights that I've seen, the biggest thing that I saw is probably Justin Thomas shanked the ball on the first or second par 3 on the front 9, and then he had to pitch out, be 105 out on a par 3 to save par, and he ended up saving bogey. So even Justin Thomas had to come back from hitting a shank. I'm sure Sid and Steve hit shanks off the tee all the time.
Hey now.
Yeah.
I golf once every 5 years, whether I have to or not. Okay, you got me.
Or Kevin or Book, I'm sure that they all shanked. Hey, I shanked too. I'm not gonna.
Book doesn't have a choice. He's 6'8". He's gonna shank because he's got to play with a telephone pole.
Well, here's my deal, guys. It's funny to say. Here's my deal. When I go golfing, I go to a garage sale to make sure I get an old set of clubs. So when I get the bad shots, I get. That's how I go.
So that doesn't make you feel as bad breaking your golf club.
Yeah, I thought I did something when I went and got a pair of long clubs. It didn't help. It was just as bad, if not worse. So
I know a few, and we'll just start with Charles Barkley. But Eddie talked a little bit about when we'd host some golf tournaments. I know some of those guys that play great football, but it does not necessarily translate onto a golf course.
Absolutely doesn't. You might as well go ahead and give me a microphone and let me sing.
But now that competitive edge, that level comes out, and you're like, you want to be good. But
yeah, that's where I fall apart, because I get all, because when I get tense and I get anxious, that helps me in football. You can't do that in golf. You get worse.
That's why I buy the garage $5 the garage set of golf clubs that I can break or throw in the drink.
That's very wise.
And they would have me probably choked out by about the third or fourth green because I'd be laughing, falling out of the cart. And it'd be like, Rev, one more, and you're not playing anymore.
Yeah. So, Will, what's coming down the pike? I mean, I know I keep asking Rev, that NIL thing's coming up in like a month. You know, we'd love to see him down there. I don't know what's happening, but maybe we can still arrange that, because that'd be pretty cool to get you down there. I don't know if you looked into that, Will.
I'm still waiting for the info about how to register for something like that. Also, one thing I will say about Augusta drinks versus drinks at the PGA Championship. If at Augusta, you get drunk for cheap. At the PGA Championship, be prepared to spend a lot of cash on alcohol.
What was a beer?
How much?
A beer was like $20.
What?
For a beer?
Wow. Okay.
Beer, it was $20.
Can't imagine what it'd be to sit down and have a meal.
Like a 25 ouncer though. So
how much was it?
19 player, but still. You could. I'd rather pay $5 at Augusta to keep the souvenir cup and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, there you go. So I saw what happened. Were you able to see? Was Tiger there and he had to pull out? What happened with that?
So from what I've seen, from when I walked the course on Sunday, it was like I walked like 11 miles, 12 miles, and it just seemed like since he was out of contention, he wants to make sure that his knees and his body is able to play for the Open Championship in 2 months from now. That's what I got out of it. Again, don't quote me on that, because I don't want Greer to come back and choke me, because I said that he withdrew for a different reason than what was disclosed. But I'm guessing it was because of he wants to make sure that he is fully able to compete for the British Open in July.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Was Big JD there? You know, I didn't follow so I don't know who was all playing, but was Big JD playing?
I didn't see him because he missed the cut on Friday at plus 8. But I'm sure he was probably doing something somewhere, whether it was smoking a cigarette or having beer or having a Diet Coke or
hanging out with his Hooters friends.
Or hanging out with his Hooters babes, if you want to call it that.
Well, hey, wait, that's all part of the NIL, guys. It all comes together because his son is being sponsored by Hooters, right? So we're bringing it all together. Yes, right. That's true. NIL sponsorship collective. Hooters is backing him.
Speaking of parties and all that good stuff, I wonder if you guys talk to Eddie Mack about, or quote unquote, the Black Donald Trump, as Rev says he calls himself. If you guys talk to Eddie about parties at Tommy Kramer's and Buddy Becker's.
Well, those two names are brought up. I think Rev brought them up a couple of times. Yes.
We're going to try to get them all out here to Sturgis for 10 days. And I think the only one that will be left standing is Tommy Kramer. I'm just going to put my money on TK right now. And Will, Sturgis is 10 days, 20 concerts, some of the best music right in the middle of training camp, my friend. So it's one of those deals.
So do I have an invite to sleep on your floor if I go to Sturgis for a day or two?
You always have an invite to sleep on my floor.
That might be a simple place for a trip.
He's got another bedroom, but he wants you to sleep on the floor.
Hey, I tried to hit up Stevie on my way to Oklahoma with.
I wasn't even at home. I saw your message come through. You said you rolled through KC, but I wasn't even at home when you was rolling through.
Oh,
but
well,
I saw where you went for barbecue. I wouldn't have probably picked up either.
I went to Joe's KC barbecue on the way down there, just because.
I'm good to go, KC. Good barbecue.
It's okay.
Yeah. So.
Arthur Bryant's or Gates, and I don't want anybody from Kansas City to get mad at me, but I do Gates ribs, but then get KC Masterpiece sauce.
Okay.
I enjoy to go to Gates to be humbled because I get yelled at.
Who yells at you?
It's an inside joke. They actually, that's kind of
help you. They yell it when you come in.
Yeah.
So, Will, I know we're going to kind of wind down here. Where are you off to next? Anything in the near future, though, before we talked about trying to get you down there, Atlanta? Anything in the next 30 days before?
Anything in the next 30 days. I might be fighting wolves and bears and stuff like that. So stay tuned.
When is there going to be a Mrs. Super Fan? Are you ever going to maybe bring someone along?
Well, anybody's welcome to join me. Like the PGA Championship, another fellow sports enthusiast, Troy Geary, joined me. Yeah. And it's part of another show that I do with him. So we both went. We recorded a live segment from the PGA Championship with a couple other people that I'm associated with. So it was a good time, and I would do it again next year. It's in Rochester, New York, and we'll see what happens.
All right. Well, we'll keep us posted. We'll have to keep working on that NIL summit. See if that can happen, because there's some pretty cool people. And by Triple H is one of the speakers. If you're into wrestling, by the way, I don't know if you're into wrestling, but I saw Triple H is going to be down there speaking. Believe that or not. Well,
sounds like you're into wrestling, Sid.
You know on the interweb in this little phone here, on the computer in your hand, the Twitter has a lot of things on that, Whereas you can, speaking of Twitter, join us, like us on NIL_West. So, well, Will, hey, we appreciate coming on as always. We're going to keep us posted, keep you going, and we hope to get this thing growing and keep pushing this. And brought to you by, who is it brought to you by? Status Plus Productions today. Is that what I'm correct? I just want to make sure I threw that out.
Today's Status Plus Productions, Swag Rack, Maurice Williams. Also, it's one day closer to football, so one day closer to me hanging out with my super fan friends again from all over the United States.
Awesome.
My first away game right now is scheduled to be in Houston, Texas, between the Chargers and the Texans, while my Vikings are in London.
Man, now Bum Phillips, it's in my head. We're the Houston. Remember that, Rev?
Love you, Blue.
Big bum. So, all right. Well, hey, as always, a pleasure having you on. We appreciate it, Will. Thanks for taking part.
Thanks, Will.
We will see you next week.
All right. See you all later.
Thanks, Will.
Take care, bud.
Well, guys, that was Where's Will? Prior to that, Eddie McDaniel. Interesting night so far. So we got to finish this up with a little NIL talk. I wanted to throw it around here, a couple things. And Brian, I'd asked you to do some research, and you had a couple things that propped up. I keep asking every week, how many more? How many more? How many more? How many more? What are we up to now in terms of collectives out there in the college world?
Sure. Right now we're up to 68. That is up to date. And you also have, I'll give you an example. Indiana has 2 collectives. Kansas State has 2 collectives. Ohio State has 2 collectives. You have Penn State with 3 collectives. You've got Florida State with 2 collectives. TCU with 2 collectives. Florida. Missouri has 2, Texas has 3, Virginia Tech has 3. It's growing every single day. And I went old school this week and went with
I saw that.
Type of thing.
Yep. And you know what? That's not even, we don't know what's going on in the D2, the D3, the NIA, the JUCOs out there in the world. That's mostly the
Yep. And there's and 68, if I didn't say that. 68 collectives so far, and every day there's more and more.
Yep. And hopefully we'll be getting some involvement there. I know Mizzou, we talked about Missouri there, Steve. I think they have something going on. But
yeah, I would bet Mizzou's got one for Kansas City and St. Louis. That'd be my shot. Because that's the one thing they got to do, because we're hemorrhaging out of St. Louis, and these guys jumping out of Kansas City. They got to lock these cities down if they're going to keep that talent.
And I know we joked about it a little bit when Book was on earlier. I know Book's off camera right now, but and I threw that out there. Mizzou is now doing payment for academics. And I joked about that. I tweeted that on our Twitter as well. What does it mean? Does that mean you got to have, what kind of classes does that include? You get a GPA if you have pottery, or do you have to have certain classes? What they should do with that, though, Rev, is maybe they should have some of those financial literacy classes to take when they're doing that. I mean,
well, absolutely. I think the sooner that kids understand about financial literacy, it's kind of like leadership and life skills. When is it too late? Well, it's never too early to begin. Now, you can get behind the 8 ball, proverbially, when you make $24 million in a season, and yet you really don't know what to do with money. And people have been in that situation, not just athletes, where the sooner you can make some of what we call those young mistakes, the longer you'll keep your money in the end, because it really goes just like everything. All the education is going to get you is some tools. You are going to get some bumps. You're going to get, it's kind of like football when you're talking about money, investments, things of that nature. You're going to get hit a little bit. It's a contact sport. So.
Well, I wish I would have learned some of those things financially back in the day. I mean, I learned the hard way, some bumps, as you call it.
Sure.
And that.
Well, that's the thing. I honestly think that if they just had economic classes where you don't learn about the macroeconomics, but learn about how to manage and, how do you navigate through the banking system? How do you investment? And I can't even say, because I took finance and they taught you about, the big investment firms, but learning the basics on how to do it, not so much of, this is this type of trade or this type of, because you're going to get all those specific things, but it doesn't really mesh together in what basic fundamental investment economics from the Joe Q public perspective, as opposed to coming at it from the science perspective.
Well, even you talk about that sort of thing, but even the simplest things, because right now what you saw with the implications coming around April 15th, right, guys, is how do you do your own taxes? I mean, some of these guys, they don't know, because this stuff that's given to them, this is taxable income that they don't realize. It's taxable income. And like, you're getting this for 10, think, well, I don't have to pay because it's this amount. Well, you get this for 10,000, you get that for 10,000. Before you know, you got 60, 100, whatever. We're talking about the smaller contracts. Those add up, and these guys are like, wow. That's a mistake you don't want to have. So I know Darren Heitner, one of the sports lawyers I keep talking about, was talking about this, the financial aspect that needs to be done more and more when they're incorporating. That's the one thing I think they're trying to do with these NILs and some of these schools.
I spent my adult life dodging taxes. So
yeah.
It's not, you don't get in trouble for tax avoidance. You get in trouble for tax evasion. So just avoid.
I hear you.
First, I think one of the big things is that, these kids, hey, nothing wrong with learning earlier, and we're talking about, if you had a lawn mowing business when you were 10, 11 years old, that's a life skill. Why? Because you're going out to earn money. Now, on the back end of this, you are getting thrown in proverbially to the deep end. You're going to have to learn how to swim. They are going to tax you. You are going to fit in a different bracket as a family. Even you're going to have to learn whether or not you have a dependent. And you're going to learn that you might have a few more that aren't on the tax roll. So this is where I think you begin to really foster and get some of that education, some of that background early, so that you can make the right decisions later as well.
And again, that's one thing that Steve, Book, you guys all talked about was what about a trust? What about this? And ways to work with this money that we want to be able to provide. Steve?
Well, I think that's part of what we're trying to stimulate here is the mentorship, in that just like we mentor you about your body, we mentor you about your finances. Because what I tell people all the time, I tell my kids all the time, you go listen to the doctor, listen to the trainer, and then, when you got to play, you go talk to the shaman, the soothsayer, the witch doctor, whoever can get you on the field as fast as possible. Now, that's not important when you're a teenager, but when you get into college in your junior, senior year, on through the pros, that's what it is. So, same thing when it comes to learning your finances. By all means, go to your professor, learn what that is, but then put some of your money into practice. When you start seeing what your money can do and how it can work, you learn what it is. The best investment is in yourself. And I think, again, one of the Steelers was the best at it, linebacker. He dropped like a couple $100,000 a year on just maintaining his body. And then Book should chime in on that one. God, I can't remember his name. James Williams, I think it was. The guy didn't have any body fat. He was a monster.
Yeah.
But, he invested back in himself so much, and that's what got him 13, 14 years in the league. So, that's what I would encourage. And that's what we want this group to be, is a group that, puts together the mentors, helps you get through it. Here's some guys who've already gone through it. Even if they can't tell you what to do, they can tell you what not to do. Because all of us have made enough mistakes that you say, don't do this. My dad told me, he said, don't make my mistakes, make new ones. So that's more or less what we have to teach in this whole process, because the schools don't know what to do, and the boosters don't know what to do. They're just trying to solve the problems that, how do I get the best kid here? And then once you're there, how do you pull it all together?
Yeah. No, and that's where Book comes into play with that. We had the commercial format with the Spartan Global Network and his experience and financial advocacy helping out, where those that you might be watching or watching the rebroadcast, send us a tweet, send us a Facebook message. I mean, if you have people in mind you'd like for us to talk to bring on, discuss this. I mean, we're early on in this whole process, and we're trying to do this more and more. And I've connected with a few people. The interview tonight was a fun interview with Eddie. We'd love to have. It was great to have him on, and we'll bring him back too, because all you guys have played and been through it. But that's the goal here. So if you're watching this and maybe got a little laugh earlier and you're still on, reach out to us. Who should we talk to? I mean, what are your thoughts? You have some athletes out there, some schools you want us to talk to, because these guys that I have on here, they've been through it, and that's the mentorship aspect that we're trying to do. So, Rev, I lost you for a second there. Did you pull Eddie on me there? The connection go bad?
I sure did.
And it happens. So we're just kind of winding down, and we're talking about the whole NIL stuff again and what we missed earlier. And I just wanted to kind of do some final thoughts. And Brian, did you have any numbers in terms of what I'd like to see, guys, is what the average deal is now? I mean, what's the average for a kid? It's not, because you got the big contracts up here, but what I want to see what's happening with the NIL that people don't realize is that this is an avenue for them to take and learn how to brand themselves. Because 99% of these players are never going to play pro ball, right? You know that.
Right.
So, but what they are going to learn from this is that, hey, I got a way to market myself, because those recruiters out there, after this is all said and done, are going to be able to go to those guys, and they know they're going to be a good employee because they presented themselves in a manner through social media, whatever have you, in a manner that I would want to have that young man or young woman as a an employee of mine. So that's one thing we want to stress. There is good in this. It's not all bad NIL. I want to point that out.
The average as of right now is about 3,800.
Okay.
But I mean, we're so early in the whole system that pretty soon, who knows what it's going to be, honestly.
Yeah,
well, you got to think about it right now that they're going to pay for the remarkable talent. So it's going to be your superstars that are going to get that money.
Yeah.
So, but it's a matter of time before the average player, when you're an elite athlete, especially coming out of high school, there's thousands and thousands of them. But when you go from college to pro, there's only hundreds.
Yep.
So that's
and
usually
a lot of the smaller deals that I'm seeing are with like Barstool Sports, where a lot of these lesser known name athletes are getting at least to sell their merchandise.
Yeah. You see that a lot in a lot of schools, even some of the bigger schools. They sell T-shirts and stuff. So that's the one thing I want to stress to those that may be watching or know this. For instance, I had a dentist appointment today, and the dentist played college ball. He had a scholarship at WSU here in town, Division II. I asked him about it. He goes, "Oh, we don't really have anything going right now. We're just still trying to get the boosters, So these small schools, that's where we can really reach out to and help too. I want to point that out to folks out there. Let us know. Get the message out there. This is what we want to be as the message for not just the big boys, but those, because there's a lot more D1, D2, D3, NIA, JUCO in this country that can take advantage of this. Every little bit helps. What say you guys before we go? I mean, we're kind of winding down. We lost Rev, I see, so we're going to close it down. Final thoughts?
Yeah, I'd like to give a big shout out to all my friends from the past and present in the military, especially with Memorial Day being this weekend. One of my best friends is currently active in Saudi Arabia, so it's always thinking of him. Always thinking of my one buddy that did multiple tours in Iraq, and he had to medically discharge. And then I had one of the best bosses that I ever had. He flew planes. So it's something that whenever this comes up, it's what I always think about. So
very good observation. Good point. Steve-O?
Yeah, I'll piggyback with you there. By all means, yes. My dad was in the Army. My brother was in the Army. So salute to all of our military veterans. Even though a lot of folks may not get in contact with on the front lines, they have to support the back lines so for them to, for those who are on the front lines. So thank you all for your service and have a wonderful Memorial Day.
Yep, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you guys more. I can kind of on the back end, try not to preach it, but I was raised by a Gold Star mother. My grandmother raised me, so that's difficult. Having your son killed in Vietnam in action, and had friends that have had, sons as well, KIA. It's difficult, and there's a lot of things that they forget. We talk about PTSD for professional sports and collegiate sports and that. There's a lot of that out there too. If you can help with that too, for military, it's important because every time I see one and I know that was a veteran, I'd shake their hand. You see the Vietnam veteran, they have those hats. I wear my uncle's ring. That's my remembrance from December 1969. He was killed. So I'm going to try to get my to service out there. It's something I do every year, and if you guys can do it, or at least make sure we salute a veteran out there, and let's not forget what it's really meant for. So I appreciate you guys bringing that. Brian, thanks for bringing that up. And again, for those of you that watch tonight or watching on the replay, please, by all means, reach out to us. We'd love to hear from you. Let us know who you want to see on here, thoughts on this. We're just getting going very early on in this, and we're hoping to continue and grow and grow and grow. And that's the goal here. So other than that, gentlemen, I think we'll have our adieu and call her a night. So
all righty.
So long.
Take care.
Take care, guys.